Somebody else
it's
made
the
that
Golden
happen.
Show around earlymotorbout.com. The Golden Show, like, comment, share, and download to infinity and beyond. From Fever Region 1, it's Hit the Boy Kryptonite Golden. No time
Down there in one of those catacombs. There's other guys, what they look like. I don't know. This don't make no sense, everybody.
The Golden Debate Show. Yeah, the Golden Debate Show. Golden Show, wow. Golden Debate Show. We gon' talk about this, talk about the Golden Debate Show. Yeah, the Golden Debate Show. Golden Show, wow.
Down there in one of those catacombs. There's other guys, what they look like. I don't know. This don't make no sense, everybody.
Too many news. Those I don't know.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of News in 2 Minutes, bringing you the news that you need to know every day. Let's begin. Dozens of people are said to have been killed as fighting between pro- and anti-Russian groups broke out throughout the streets of Ukraine, leading authorities within the country to open the way for new measures that may escalate the violence between the groups, and threatens to worsen what some are calling an insurgency of anti-government terrorism brought about by the leaders of the nearby country of Russia. Unrest is said to be spreading deeply across the nation, with some speculation that a civil war may be near, with reports that we've seen showing that a number of NATO warships have arrived in a nearby Lithuanian port, where they will be held to increase the transatlantic alliance's defense of the Baltic states. The U.S. Center for Disease Control has confirmed that a man traveling through Chicago to Indiana has contracted and possibly spread the first American case of the Middle Eastern respiratory syndrome. Health officials are said to begin contacting all of the passengers that may have come into contact with the traveler who recently visited the Middle East, and are reporting that the patient has been placed into an isolation center of a nearby hospital. Officials are stating that they have already contacted high-risk passengers who may have come into contact with the patient, and are asking for visitors of both the hospital where the man was admitted and fellow passengers to contact emergency care physicians immediately if symptoms present themselves. Authorities are calling for the continuing cooperation of nearby towns and residents after increasingly heavy rainfall triggered a large landslide in Pakistan, killing hundreds of residents and leaving more than 2,000 others missing, possibly trapped beneath the debris. A number of track derailments that have injured hundreds in both South Korea and New York follow a train crash in Virginia and an explosion at a rail station in China, raising the possibility of infrastructural sabotage. As authorities in China work to extinguish multiple wildfires that have crossed the border from Russia, satellite imagery reviewed by a South Korean environmental research center shows that wildfires persist in as many as 30 separate locations across North Korea, highlighting the changing climate that the Asian continent is experiencing. And to wrap things up, Sunspot 2047, which is located on the southern hemisphere of the sun, has continued its growth pattern and may provide the best chance for intense solar flaring into the weekend. Martial law and widespread curfews are continuing in Kashmir following the death of a youth by security forces and leading to large anti-government protests. And a 6.0 in Indonesia, followed by a 5.9 perilously close to the Fukushima nuclear power plant in Japan, completes today's quake watch.
You've been successful. You didn't get there on your own.
Nope. You didn't work hard.
You didn't get there on your own. I'm always struck by people who think, well, it must be because I was just so smart. There are a lot of smart people out there. It must be because I worked harder than everybody else. Let me tell you something. There are a whole bunch of hard-working people out there. If you were successful, somebody along the line gave you some help. There was a great teacher somewhere in your life. Somebody helped to create this unbelievable American system that we had that allowed you to thrive. Somebody invested in roads and bridges. If you got a business, that you didn't build that.
Hello, everybody. So thanks for the
somebody else made that happen.
Loop it throughout the show.
The internet didn't get invented on its own. Somebody else
conservatives
made
can't
that
seem to
happen.
stop saying stupid racist things.
But this is just fucking nuts.
It's like
now.
they have racist Tourette's. They can't
Bob
help
is an asshole
themselves.
vampire,
And so
but
now
that's about
a
it.
GOP
Not a zonkey, everybody.
official, he sees a news item about a donkey-zebra mix, and he cannot help himself. He has to make a stupid joke about President Obama. You can see where this is going, but let's take a look first at the
down there in one of those catacombs.
It's a mix
There's
of a
other
donkey
guys that they look
and a
like.
zebra.
I don't know.
It's cute as all
This
hell.
don't make no sense, everybody.
There it is. It was just born in a northern zoo in northern Mexico. says that the specimen is extra rare because zebras and donkey chromosomes aren't supposed to be compatible. Look at that. I mean, it's the cutest thing ever. It reminds me of Rudolph when he goes, "I'm cute." Remember Rudolph? Well, so this guy, Jim Thompson, Winnebago County Republican Central
Down
Committee
there in one of those catacombs.
Been down at the
There's other guys that they look like, I don't know.
A couple of beers and got a couple of laughs. So he
everybody.
thought, that's a good idea. I'm going to put this joke in my newsletter because everybody laughed at it at the Moose Lodge. And he has a newsletter for the Republican Central Committee of Winnebago. He's the chairman. He puts it in here. Here's the joke that he put in there. Media update for the week. Saw on the news this week the offspring of a donkey and a zebra. Black and white legs. Rest all donkey. Not sure why this is news. Now, if we can teach him to read a teleprompter, we could have two living creatures the media will fawn over. That is part white, part black, and all ass.
Film editor Creed raves for
on the internet that some delusional Beyonce fans have started a new religion dedicated to worshiping her as a goddess. They're calling Bayism, even claiming that a, quote, national church of Bay has been created. And while we live in a world of crackpot false prophets, with Joseph Smith starting Mormonism, or science fiction writer L. Ron Hubbard creating Scientology, to a guy that says he was taken up into a UFO and then started Raelianism back in the 1970s, to Terra Sim, the new transhumanist movement, it wouldn't be that surprising if some delusional mainstream media watching morons would start or try to start a new religion to worship their favorite celebrity. But in this case, there is no church
down there in one of those catacombs.
This is just
there's other guys that they look like, I don't know.
A massive
this don't make no sense, everybody.
Based on one of Beyonce's
extra sexy. This clip, we can't see it. It's a video clip, but here it is with Immortal Technique, my man. I hope he never gets caught because he's an official MC and he breaks down a lot of good stuff.
Better known as Immortal
Technique.
Flip is a Peruvian-born, Harlem-raised hip-hop artist and social activist, known for his radically political lyrics criticizing everything from the drug war to the military-industrial complex. Well, Immortal Technique joined me earlier in studio, and given the fact that one Immortal Technique album carries the same
there's other guys that they look like, I don't know.
I first asked him to break down
this
process of writing music.
I had a room in my house where I wrote all over the walls, and it literally looks like a madman lives there. And like literally everywhere on the wall, one side of the wall is the martyr, and the other side is the middle passage. And it's just written ideas that don't mean anything to anybody else except me. It's like shorthand writing, you know? So I think it's a complicated writing process. There's sometimes when I'll write a song, like for example, A Caught in the Hustle, which took me about an afternoon, or Bin Laden. Those songs took me about an afternoon. And then there's a song like You Never Know, which took me a couple of years to write, or Dance with the Devil, which took even, around the same time.
In your song, A Cure, I wanted to read some lyrics for our audience. Capitalism is a religion that makes Satan a god, teaches self-righteous people to embrace a facade. I wanted you to expand on what you meant by that.
Well, I think I was making a reference to the fact that when you think that everything in this world revolves around money and that you can monetize anything or everything's for sale, then it's hard for me to look at you as a person of faith. I think that people hide behind faith so they can get their economic agenda completed. But it strikes me as very difficult to consider a person that has love and God in their heart when every single action of theirs is built on trying to monetize something, not so people can get paid, but so they can make money from things like water and air. And I think that what's difficult for people to process is that this is going on within their soul right now, or their life, or however they choose to see their spiritual struggle or their physical struggle. This is going on within all the people that are watching this program right now. Everyone has some sort of choice to make. I think the difference is that when people that are in power make choices, it affects
there's
people
other
differently.
guys that they look like, I don't know.
Anyone noticed. You've traveled to another country ravaged by war that no one pays attention to anymore, in Afghanistan. You mentioned that you helped build an orphanage there. After talking to local Afghans on the ground, getting that perspective, what message do you think that they would want to send and relay to the U.S. government and the people here?
Well, I mean, I went there in 2009, where there were huge amount of civilian casualties, drone operations. There were a lot of people that were very dissatisfied with the United States role. They feel like they did the same thing anybody else did when they came there, that they came there under the guise of stabilizing the region and stabilizing the country. The same way the USSR backed the government of Dr. Najib, saying, oh, we're going to have reforms, we're going to do this. And little by little, do people notice, well, your reforms benefit corporations that you're making money with. You're taking natural resources out of the country. You want to control more and more things about our lives. Go harass your own citizens. Leave us in peace. And, you know, if you're not going to leave us in peace, then we're not going to fight you because we're the Taliban. We're going to fight you because you're in our country and we don't want you here anymore. And it's not your decision of whether you get to stay here or not. There's no threat here anymore. You know, bin Laden has been annihilated. The threat that we have is now an inner threat in which, see, I think this is the part that people don't understand. You know, we have a new Star Wars movie coming out, and I always remember this one scene from Return of the Jedi where he's like, I'm sorry, from the Empire Strikes Back, where he's like, I don't want the Emperor's prize damaged. You'll test this machine on someone else. And I feel that's what Americans don't realize is happening, that we're testing this machine on other people. You know, human rights, civil rights, let's test it on immigrants. That way, people will say, well, they're illegal human beings. It doesn't matter what we do to them. We can put them in these internment camps.
Down there in one of those catacombs.
As long as
there's other guys that they look like, I don't know.
White American citizens are there for no reason other than speaking against the government. Oh, but it's okay for someone that works like a slave to do that and then have all their money confiscated, thrown into prison, ripped apart from their family. I don't think you see it. That's what my message is for them. You don't see what they're doing. They're testing it on people that aren't the perfect candidates. You know, people forget that Rosa Parks was not the first person to be ripped off the bus or to have that sort of
down there in one of those catacombs.
Incident. There was someone before.
There's other guys that they look like, I don't know.
This don't make no sense for everybody.
Rosa Parks, I mean, of course she wasn't the first person, but of course the establishment wants you to believe that revolution is not a process, that it was just a moment in time. And Rosa Parks was that moment in time, of course, neglecting the years of struggle that went on before that moment, Felipe. Of course, the pretext for U.S. intervention in Iraq and Afghanistan, 9/11, hunt for bin Laden. I want to talk about your song, Bin Laden, because it really impacted me, Felipe. It says they funded al-Qaeda. Now they blame the Muslim religion, even though bin Laden was a CIA tactician. They gave him billions of dollars. They funded his purpose. Fahrenheit 9/11, that's just scratching the surface. What is your biggest question regarding what we've been told about that entire story?
I'd have to get back to you on that one because there's not just one. I mean, there's way too many. But I think that overall, people feel like they got their tooth capped. That's it. You know, that there was some problem and that somehow it got fixed. And now this bad guy is going away. Ayman Zawahiri, MIA. I mean, you know, it's funny to see how serious we took al-Qaeda and how much of a threat they were to global stability that we needed in some way, shape, or form to hunt each and every single one of those cells down and destroy them. And yet we had no problem when those cells existed in Syria to get rid of somebody that we didn't like. Now, obviously, it became a PR nightmare for the administration, for the country, for everyone, that we were giving people that were connected to that organization money. But at the same time, it's very exemplary of the length that not just this country, because I won't single out America, that any country is willing to go to. You know, I think that when we talk about internal struggles, it has to be spoken on that the United States is not the only empire that has had that. I mean, I don't know how many times.
Hey guys, Dabu7. Welcome to another episode of Cheaters Exposed. This time we're taking a look at Ben Affleck that has been caught cheating at the Hard Rock Casino in Las Vegas. Now, on the serious tip, they're saying that security had caught him counting cards. Now, the sources told TMZ that the 41-year-old actor was in Vegas earlier that week with his wife, spending some time before he had to go off to Detroit to do the new Batman film. Now, they're saying that he was playing blackjack at a high rollers table when security suddenly swarmed him and took him down. Now, at that point, they escorted him out of the vicinity. This was a little after 10 p.m., April 28th, and they said that this happened due to him moving his money with the count. You see, they know the tactics. And finally, after all these years, he's been playing cards because he's been in multiple tournaments. In 2011, he lost 2,000. No, what did he lose here? 400,000.
Somebody else made that happen.
In Hollywood Hotshots to Ron Meyer. So this guy is, accustomed to tossing around big bucks. Now he's cheating. And now he's been exposed.
I'll break a window to get in, even if it makes a little noise. If your neighbor hears one loud sound, he'll stop. If he doesn't hear it again, he'll go right back to what he was doing. It's human nature, and I'm not complaining.
Your eyes and ears are our best defense against crime. Call 911 to report crimes in progress. Got a tip?
Nothing's what we all must learn to do. Cover. I hope the like, comment, share, and the download.
Down there in one of those catacombs.
Be sure and remember,
there's other guys that they look like. I don't know.
Every one of us
just don't make no
remember
sense,
to do the
everybody.
same thing. That's what this film is all about. Duck and cover. This is an official civil defense film produced in cooperation with the Federal Civil Defense Administration and in consultation with the Safety Commission of the National Education Association.
Of course. Yeah, because these guys are not going to do it. They don't want to go in and fire on anybody. The Army doesn't want to do it. The police force doesn't want to do it. No one's on board with this.
Yeah, that's right.
But down there in one of those catacombs.
Painting a different picture.
There's other guys that they look like. I don't know.
But this is it. This is not World War III. It's Word War III. It's just a bunch of propaganda, and certainly in the United States. I'm not too sure about the United States of Europe, but people have no idea the lies and just the bullcrap that is flowing out of particularly this man's pie hole, which is a tiny little hole. If you, they have this new player on C-SPAN. Have you? No, seriously. On C-SPAN, they have this. You can play. Oh no, I'm sorry, it's not C-SPAN. On the state.gov website, I get a lot of videos of him there. And they say play inaccessible player, which is really the only player that's any good. But it goes almost like full screen. Yeah. And his face, man, it's like a sphincter that his mouth. It's weird to look at.
And his tongue keeps darting.
Yeah, well, that's the bullshit meter. And this is what I've learned from CIA contacts. Whenever someone is telling a lie, they will stick their tongue out, which essentially means bullcrap. And he does it all the time.
And if we're going to move the trend line in a positive direction, this has to be an alliance-wide effort.
Aha.
Two.
If
we want a Europe that is both whole and free.
This is like some rubberization thread or something.
Then we have to do more together.
Oh, that's interesting. When he said
whole and free. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
Oh, yeah. No, he's horrible.
More together, immediately, with a sense of urgency, to ensure that European nations are not dependent on Russia for the majority of their energy. In this age of new energy markets, in this age of concern about global climate change and carbon overload.
Carbon overload. He's making it up now.
Carbon overload.
He's just making it up.
Down there in one of those catacombs.
Carbon overload.
There's other guys that they
we
look
ought to
like.
be able to to the ability to be able to make Europe less dependent. And if we do that, that will be one of the greatest single strategic differences that could be made here.
Let's go to
we can deliver greater energy independence and help to diversify energy sources that are available to the European markets, and we can expand the energy infrastructure across Europe, and we could build up energy storage capacity throughout the continent.
Now, this is very interesting. So the storage capacity
down
is
there
one
in
thing.
one of those catacombs. There's other guys that they look
he's
like.
looking
I don't
at
know.
the new routes, and they all go through Turkey, by the way. And Vladimir is right there. He's already talking to Turkey about selling some gas directly to them. This is why Crimea was so important.
They're having trouble.
Because Crimea has all these routes as well.
So quick.
It really is an energy play, and they're trying to route the South Stream pipeline via Turkey. I mean, as people are scrambling. They've really, really, really messed this up.
Squirrel.
Here, energy mystery. The Turkish energy minister is now talking to Russia. So, Turkey is not our friend in this. They should be, but they're all over the map.
Yeah, they're not.
They're not. Okay, let's go to number 3 from our friend Kerry here.
Third, we have to invest in the underpinnings of our economic partnership. We are together, Europe and the United States, two of the largest markets in the world. And the fact is that we can seriously strengthen our economic ties and accelerate growth and job creation and serve as a buffer
down there in one of those
to any negative impacts of some of the steps we need to take.
Like, I don't know.
If we move on both sides of the Atlantic rapidly to complete the transatlantic trade and investment partnership.
Nasty, that's he's throwing that in. So we need to.
This is a cornucopia.
Yeah.
Speech.
And meanwhile, of course, the news came out.
All right, so lots of chatter about a possible bailout from the IMF for Ukraine. Well, now we have those headlines crossing. The IMF Executive Board is approving in essence, what is a $17 billion, what they call a standby arrangement, what is in essence a bailout loan, $17 billion over the next 2 years, $3 billion of which will be made immediately available to Ukraine. Again, $3 billion immediately available with other payments or other program payments out of this loan program made when they meet certain performance criteria. So again, the IMF approving a $17 billion loan package for Ukraine over the next 2 years.
All right, the first $2 million goes to Russia.
I heard Lagarde give this tell about this. And I remember when she was going on about how, well, you know, we're gonna do the 17 million deal, but this is nothing. We're not just going to start giving you money.
No.
And we're going to have to. So all of a sudden, they're just starting to give them money because there is no way they could have gone through any books or looked at any details to approve this $2 billion or three. She said 2, I thought, but she says
one is ours. $1 billion is our. You know, did you just send a check to the Treasury? That's your money. You're sending it. Meanwhile, this the Shanghai Cooperative continues. I think Putin is laughing. He's cut off a MasterCard and Visa because of these sanctions.
Club 33 tonight, the reopening. $1.25 billion worth of stage equipment, junk tanks, and everything in between. We want to introduce the new lovely ladies of Club 33. Bring them out. We're going to put them all up on stage 1. They'll all take a bow. Gina, Rita, Tony, Lisa, Amy from Stockholm, Jessica, Maxwell, Megan, Naomi of Oregon, Gina Bina, Jenny, Patricia, Sam Nicole, and Citizen X. Get up there. Patricia, beautiful Tracy, Jamie, Dr. Kiki, Angel, and Dasha. Missy
down there, one of those tentacles.
I still have friends in Hollywood. A buddy of mine called me today. He said he earlier in the day had received a call from George Clooney.
Oh, yeah.
George Clooney screamed in the phone, "I'm what? What? I did what?"
Favorite show?
You've got something going on and you need a distraction. Call Clooney.
Down there in one of those catacombs. There's other guys, what they look like. I don't know.
Clooney.
This don't make no sense, everybody.
See if I can stream it through this. Here's an article Monday, April 28th to April 29th. Several members of the Industrial Dialogue will participate in discussions with governments and other stakeholders in the context of Freedom Online Coalition Conference in Talim, Estonia. The goal of the conference is to reach an agreement of a set recommendations of Freedom Online in the areas of fundamental freedoms online, 2, the role of business and advertising in opening and free internet, and 3, one internet, meaning net neutrality. We're all fucked. Let's see what's trending on his Yahoo. Missing pet found 18 months after Hurricane Sandy. Cleveland kidnapping victim gets a nude start, which is pretty cool. They did an interview with the chick that set up Donald Sterling. She says that he's not a racist, but come on, man, that ain't good. Costco, the best of worst things to buy at Costco. Fuck that. Let's don't even support that fucking terrible fucking playoffs. There's I believe 4 games headed into Game 7, which is rare. Sports, the world's biggest distraction. Damn, you do not look like you once did, boo boo.
down there in one of those catacombs.
Really a lot of
there's other guys that they look like, I don't know. This don't make no sense, everybody.
There's no horses with golden names or anything like that, so I'm not protecting any wins except for, I believe it's called Curlin or Riddlin. No, Curlin. The dude Calvin something. He's a beast on them horses. Not that they do all the work the horses do, but whatever. Do.
Consult the book of knowledge.
Let's see what else we have here. Let's see if I can stream it.
Down there in one of those catacombs. There's other guys that they look like, I don't know. This don't make no sense, everybody.
Right to bear arms. These sheriffs understand the dangers of the power concentrated in those who do not respect the Bill of Rights. In their attack on the remaining vestiges of the Republic, politicians have become increasingly dependent on police.
They're having trouble getting the gold. It's being bought so quick.
Upon the American people. I don't know why I'm doing the Southern draw, y'all. Yet country sheriffs across the country are refusing to be used as political tools. These sheriffs understand the dangers of the political concentrated into those who do not respect the Bill of Rights, in particular those that are taking a stand for the right to keep and bear arms. It's not just one sheriff or five, but rather dozens of sheriffs across the country who are united in the fight against gun control, following the lead of Sheriff Richard Mark, who won a Supreme Court ruling against the provisions of the Brady Act in 1997. These men believe in the Second Amendment. Last May, 55 of Colorado's 62 sheriffs filed a federal lawsuit against two gun control bills passed by the Colorado legislature, which outlawed magazines over 15 rounds and forced background checks on private transfers. In a press release denouncing the lawsuit, the sheriff spelled out several strong arguments. The suit points out that the House Bill 2024 outlaws the majority of firearm magazines, which are an essential component for the functional firearms it read. The bill directly outlaws magazines of more than 15 rounds and indirectly outlaws very smaller magazines with the vast language about designed to be readily converted.
Somebody else made that happen.
All handguns and rifle box magazines were removable floor pellets, and all rifle tube magazines were removable end caps. Not only does this violate the Second Amendment, but press release added it also violates the Supreme Court ruling in District of Columbia versus Heller against prohibiting arms which are typically posed by law-abiding citizens for lawful purposes. Another problem with the magazine ban is the requirement for contiguous possession of grandfather magazines. The press release continued to make it illegal for a wife to let her husband use her magazine for self-defense or to borrow her magazines and take it to a target range. Because disabled citizens cannot change magazines rapidly, their fundamental right to self-defense in the home is especially threatened by the magazine ban. In regards to House Bill 2029, which imposes background checks on private firearms transfers, and sheriffs pointed out that the requirement would prevent outdoor organizations from lending rifles during hunting trips, and they also noted that a family farm, which is organized as a corporation, would also have to pay $22 per family member.
Down there in one of those catacombs, there's other guys that they look like, I don't know. This don't make no sense, everybody.
That the sheriffs cannot sue the state as a group because they are not elected officials, but they were still allowed to move forward with the suit as individuals. The suit, however, wasn't their only method for combating the unconstitutional laws. The sheriffs also refused to enforce the laws in their official capacity. One of the sheriffs, John, I don't know why I'm doing Southern accents, and it's in Denver, everybody.
Down there in one of those catacombs, there's other guys that they look like, I don't know. This don't make no sense, everybody.
Colorado Sheriff Timothy Bay Howard publicly stated that his department will not enforce the state's own constitutional seizure, ammunition, and firearms Enforcement Act, which bans magazines holding over 10 rounds.
They're having trouble getting the gold. It's being bought so quick.
Loaded in a magazine requires background check for ammunition, amongst other.
The obvious threat to untold numbers of citizens, and because of the crisis which is even now developing, this radio station will remain on the air day and night. This station and hundreds of other radio and TV stations throughout this part of the country are pooling their resources through an emergency network hookup to keep you informed of all developments.
The ghost and the darkness have come.
One of those catacombs. There's other guys that they look like, I don't know. This don't make no sense to everybody.
He's called alive. GoldenShow, earlymorningmob.com. On the flippity flip, like, comment, share, and down till you can't no more. GoldenDebateShow.com and your girl, GoldenShow, GoldenDebateShow, like cover shit.
Yeah, get what you talking about. Yeah, get what you talking about. Yeah, get what you talking about. All that talking like this, like that, all day in your hood. Golden shows, golden roads, snow lights, laser lights. Go get my gold. Should have been tonight. Apple shit, early morning. Don't put it up. You know he said, we're talking like this, talking like that, we're talking. Golden Debate Show, Golden Debate Show, Golden Debate Show. We got this, we're talking hood, draw the line. MC better talk with big chat. You know we're coming out the best. Golden Show, Golden Roads.
Down there in one of those catacombs. There's other guys that they look like, I don't know. This don't